Coming up on the Thunder Squad Show, I am going to tell you why I think this Oklahoma City Thunder team might have the best defense in NBA history.
I'm Rylan Stiles. I'm going to tell you why SGA has gotten even better.
I'm Jeremy Lamb. I'm going to tell you why I-Hart should be there long term.
This is Locked On's Thunder Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Thunder talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game, the way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Thunder Squad Show starts now.
What's good, everybody? Tyler Jones here. Welcome in to another edition of the Thunder Squad Show right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network on the planet. We have a fantastic show for you. Our third episode of the program right here on the Locked On Thunder podcast channel, and we get plenty to discuss. Going to be talking about this defense. Is it the best we've ever seen in the history of the NBA? SGA off to a hot start. What about the future of Isaiah Hartenstein? I-Hart, what does that look like beyond this season? And we'll also discuss Isaiah Joe in his big leap that he's taken so far here in the early portion of the 2025 through 2026 campaign. Before we go any further in today's show, we want to take a moment and tell you about our presenting sponsor today. That is FanDuel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Check out FanDuel today. All right, guys, let's get right to it. Let's begin with this defense. And I got to tell you, just seeing what these guys do on that end of the floor with so many different guys, and there's not really much of a weak link you can point to and say that, hey, this guy is such a liability when he's on the floor. They have really done a good job, Mark Daigneault has, of getting the most out of these guys defensively, collectively. And it's only going to get better when they get Jalen Williams back in the equation as well. I mean, this is really something else. And you know, in this day and age, I'll start with you, Jeremy. The NBA, we hear one of the biggest complaints all the time from people that watch night in and night out is that the NBA does not play defense anymore, that these guys just don't care and that they don't really turn it on and play on that end until we get to the postseason. And usually it's a different story in college basketball as far as that goes, that they much, care a lot more when it comes to that front with the defensive side of things. But this Thunder team is different. It's against the grain of what we see from everybody else. They're putting in the effort night in and night out, and it's paid off for them. And I think that we're talking about a historic defense here. Jeremy, what say you?
First of all, that's a great question, but I don't think it's very answerable. The reason I say that, I feel like you got to look at the different eras of defense. When I came in the league in 2012, I'm getting screened by Zach Randolph, Mark Gasol, Tyson Chandler. Like, we getting screened, but we had to get through them back in the day. Back in the day, you had to get through them, and with MJ and all them back in the day, you're getting through screens and you're guarding your matchup and all those type things. Whereas now, the last 5 years I was in the league, I was getting screened by guards. And even the centers were at times 6'6", 6'7". So we switching everything. So it's hard to say they're the best defense ever, but I definitely will say the way the game is played now, with all the threes, the running, gunning, the switching, the contest at the rim, for this style of play, I mean, I can't think of nobody that's better. But to say all time that's a tough one.
Rylan, let's hear from you. All time, is that a little too steep this early yet. What do you think about this defense from a historical perspective right now?
Yeah, all time is a little bit rich at the present moment. Now, if they continue this trend, then you have an even larger leg to stand on. But to Jeremy's point, like all time conversations are always a bit out there, especially whenever you have your own personal experiences of like who's seen those eras of Michael Jordan, who has only seen the 2010s and now to the present day. But I think that this Thunder team is defining an era of NBA basketball as the best defensive era for this particular portion of NBA time, where they're a team where you can't name a team that has as many point of attack defenders as they do, with Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, who hasn't even played yet, Lou Dort, and even SGA, who is doing more defensively as a guy who can get steals and deflections, as a guy who can defend in isolation and spurts, and still be an offensive engine on the other end, of rarity in today's game. Then you have the elite rim protection of Chet Holmgren. You have I-Hart, who's more than solid down there. And even your peripheral players, and Mark has pointed this out a lot, of like the Thunder's elite defense has a lot of credit to the guys I just named. But A.J. Mitchell, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, it's not as though that they're bad defenders. They're just not as good as the elites of the elite, which are all on this one roster. Those guys make plays as well. And so when you look at this Thunder team, I think that they're for sure the best in the modern era defensively, but all time gets a bit tricky. But this team, they force more turnovers than anybody. They control the paint at a high level, better than anybody. They suffocate you on the perimeter. They're top 10 in steals and blocks. They're the number one team in steals per game. They foul and play physical. They're 12th in fouls, so they're able to do it with their depth and leaning on their depth. They have 102.7 defensive net rating. Like the defensive rating on this team is unbelievable. Now, how much will that stand the test of an 82-game season? It's lapping the league right now. We'll have to wait and see. But they're also top 4 in defensive rebounding. They limit second chance points better than anybody in the NBA. And a lot of that is just staying involved, whether it's getting defensive rebounds to not let you get second chance opportunities, or when you do have second chances, you're still in your defensive shell to break that up. They're the best transition defense in the league. They're second in deflections, and they can test more shots in the NBA than anybody else. So like this team is a juggernaut defensively. But to Jeremy's point, how do you transcend that to past eras of how the game was played differently? With how the game is played now, we've never seen someone to defend at this level. But again, going back to past eras, it'd be a different story, I think. So I think that you really have to break it down into the different eras of the league and who was the best at the time. The Thunder certainly the best at this time.
So then the next question I ask is, what makes them unique? Why do they play such good defense compared to everybody else? And one thing I think about, just as a comparison of sorts, a lot of people know, but maybe not everybody. You know, I went to the University of Kansas. I'm a KU guy. And Bill Self, for example, has always preached defense with that Kansas basketball program. And you're not going to get on the floor and play for Bill Self if you're not playing defense. And I look at this Thunder situation. Mark Daigneault kind of reminds me of Bill Self in this sense, where Mark Daigneault is not going to let you get away with not giving effort and going all out on that defensive end of the floor. Maybe other coaches in the league will let you do that, but that's not how Mark Daigneault operates here. And I think that he deserves a ton of credit for why they're so good on that end.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because, the players that come, everybody on the roster, they all have a superpower, but they all play defense no matter how the game is going or how they're playing. Like Isaiah Joe, his superpower is shooting. But if he goes 0 for 3, 0 for 4, he's still playing as hard as he can on the other end. So when you bring in high character guys, people that want to win, people who care about more than themselves, it's only going to trickle down to everyone else. And then also you realize, okay, you playing hard for your team, whether you're playing good or not, and y'all are winning, you're going to feel better at the end of the day. So they've realized that they hang their hat on defense no matter how the game is going. That gives them a chance to win not only regular season games, but big games. And I think for all of them to be so young and realizing that they got to play defense, that's rare. Most people come in, want to play offense, shoot. They want, to make the money, but they just want to be a family and a team that wins. So I think that's what carries them over the top defensively.
Yeah, it's something to behold for sure of what they do on that end. And Rylan, I mean, this is not just something that shows up when they need it, in close games or in the postseason. This is something that has been ingrained, has been stressed within them from the very beginning. That's expected for every minute this team's out there on the floor.
Yeah, and this dates back before the Thunder hit big. I mean, if you look at the very start of this rebuild, Sam Presti was asked like what they're looking for this new era of Thunder basketball, and he was ahead of the curve. He talked about how everybody's got to be versatile. You've got to be able to defend, and then offensively, everyone's got to be a playmaker, got to be a decision maker with this team, and that's how we've seen the league grow. Like from that time forward, whenever Sam Presti said that, the league has shifted to where you've got to be as versatile as possible. As Jeremy mentioned, in this era of basketball, you're switching everything, and the Thunder can switch everything better than anybody else can with their ability to have guys like Caruso, guys like J-Dub, guys like Shai who can scale up and defend out of position, and they're able to do that. And then you look at this Thunder team once they hired Mark, and like he was in charge of them throughout the course of this entire rebuild and now present day as defending champions. Even when they were winning 20-something games, what you heard other teams say was how hard it was to play them because they played so hard defensively. And he kind of laid that groundwork. Even as a 20-something win team, he maximized that defensive potential of whatever that roster was. And so like from the word go, it's always been about defense. And now that you're on the other side of it, this is all these guys have ever known. It's a very young team, most of whom have only played here significant minutes in their NBA career. And this is just kind of their life now is buying in on the defensive end. And they understand as a young team that defense is the constant. Like sometimes you're just not going to have a good shooting night. Sometimes you're not going to have your best stuff offensively, but you can always play defense because what Jeremy said on the last show was right. I mean, defense, a lot of the times, yes, there's a skill to it. Yes, there's technique to it, but a lot of the times it's just about heart, effort, and hustle. And they do that every single night. And that is something that is within their control. And they are really big on preaching control the controllables, and defense is the biggest controllable of them all. You either do it or you don't, and they do it every night, and it leads to this situation. And you can even point to a game like Sacramento last night where it's a nothing game against a bad NBA team, and you're out to a 14-1 start. Most teams would pack it in there whenever you look at them shooting 24% from three, and you look at them giving away 16 turnovers. That still doesn't stop them from having a double-digit win because of how good they are defensively and because of how seriously they take that into the floor. So it transcends big game, small game. It transcends anything with the way that this team competes.
Well, I think Rylan brings up a very good point because some people are probably going to take this the wrong way, but just being honest here, if you go back to what they did in the postseason last year, they were not their best shooting team that we typically see. They had a decent amount, actually, of off nights offensively compared to the team that we saw in the regular season. But that defense made up for it and kept them in games and created opportunities for the offense to finally get going in the fourth quarter and lead some comebacks at times. And so, Jeremy, in those situations, especially if we talk about gearing up for the postseason, your defense is going to keep you in games and give you a chance when you're having those off nights offensively like that.
Yeah, especially on the road. Especially on the road, come playoff time, and even regular season. But on the road, as the pressure go higher and higher, you have to get stops. You can come out and score as many points as you want, but if you're making it tough on them every possession, if you're winning more possessions defensively than they are offensively, like I said, in the playoffs is when it really comes to light. When you're on the road, you got all the odds stacked against you. You got fans just screaming at you. You got pressure from your coaches. All that, at the end of the day, if you know you got 5 people on the court that's willing to give their body, whether it's a charge, dive on the floor, straight ups, or just keep your man in front, doing your best to get through screens. If you got 5 people that's doing that, and then, like I said, with rim protection, if you happen to get by somebody, now you got to go over 2 7-footers. It's just overwhelming. So, like I said, on the road, that comes in handy, and that's why they can win. They got a chance to win any game they play, no matter where it is.
SGA, as the kids say, he is him. We'll explain more on the other side about his hot start to the 2025 campaign. All that more as we continue right here on the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones here with you, and we are rolling along here on the Thunder Squad Show. We want to give you a moment to tell you about our sponsor, and that is our friends at QO. Let's talk about something every business owner knows too well: missed calls. When a customer tries to reach out to you and can't get through, that's money slipping away. QO, spelled QUO, is the smarter way to run your business communications so you never miss an opportunity. QO is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. Your whole team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, which means customers get help faster. The built-in AI is a game changer. It logs your calls, writes summaries, and even sets up follow-ups automatically. Try QO for free at QO.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QO.com/LockedOnNBA. And yes, you can even keep your existing number. QO, no more missed calls, no missed customers. Check them out now. You'll be glad you did. Thunder Squad Show rolls on here on the Lockdown Podcast Network. Tyler Jones back here with you now, joined by my guys, Rylan Stiles and Jeremy Lamb. Let's talk about SGA now. Rylan, I'll start with you this time. Last night, he actually played in a fourth quarter, and they still didn't necessarily need him as they were pulling away and still had a convincing win last night. By the way, little side note, as a Native American myself, by the Choctaw Nation, I loved the Native American Heritage Night last night and the N7 uniforms on the floor. Super fantastic. Great look. But I digress. Rylan, nonetheless, SGA, the guy's playing at an MVP level. He's having all these 30-point games, and he's not playing in the fourth quarter most nights. And you look at those numbers, too. I mean, they could be even better if he was playing in these fourth quarters, and maybe that's going to hurt him in the MVP race down the line, but he's looking as good as ever right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked much improved this year, and that's what's crazy. He won MVP last year. He won Finals MVP, Conference Finals MVP. He led the league in scoring, and yet he looks better. And every year of SGA's career, he's gotten better, despite that offseason us trying to cap his game. It's like, well, he's hit his ceiling. He still hasn't hit his ceiling yet, and you're seeing it this year. Not only is he averaging 32 points a night, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, almost 2 steals a night and a block per night, shooting 53% from the floor and 38% from three. But you look at over the last 6 games, he's shooting 41% from three. He's gotten much more comfortable pulling up from three, especially coming off screens. And that changes how you have to defend him. This is a guy who typically does his damage at the elbow and in, getting into that paint, getting to his baseline jumper. And that pickup point has been pretty consistent with like, well, we kind of know how to attack Shai. Let's give him space and pick him up at the elbow and gear up for that drive and try to stay in front. Now, if he continues this shooting trend, again, 41% over the last 6 games, if you've got to pick him up higher, it only makes it easier for him to get to the spots he actually wants to get to and where he actually wants to score. But beyond the scoring, it's the playmaking leap, where he's a top 15 player in potential assists this year, and he's made some amazing leaps as a playmaker, both with his live dribble passing and his creation ability. He's always been a solid passer, but it's usually been a one-read kind of guy where he gets the ball to the next man and just reads the defense at a basic level. Right now, he's able to throw guys open. He's able to read 2 or 3 steps ahead of where the defense is at, and so you're not able to really contain him. He's utilizing the scoring gravity that he has, bending the defense to the team's advantage. And this was a team last year that stalled out in the half court offensively way too much. That went from 6th in the league 3-point percentage wise to 13th out of 16 teams in the postseason 3-point percentage wise. And a lot of that was because they could not generate the quality of looks that they did in the regular season. A lot of that was because how much attention that Shai got. Now, he made a better playmaking leap last year than he ever had before. But now being able to do it on the move, being able to do it while he's driving to the rim, that puts the Thunder in such a better position than they've ever been before in the half-court offense, not so much relying on him just as a pure isolation scorer, on top of the fact that they've gotten him more off-ball opportunities to score the ball. So all around, his game's gotten better, which is crazy to say considering where he was a year ago.
Let's go over the numbers. on SGA so far for this campaign. 32 points a game. Also 1.5 steals, 0.8 blocks, 6.5 assists, 5.1 rebounds, shooting about 53%, 52.9 to be exact. 3-point percentage, 38.5%. Free throw percentage, 89.7. So basically 90%. I mean, just all of those numbers. Jeremy, it's hard to find something not to like from what we've seen from SGA at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Rylan makes a good point about his playmaking. Last year, I feel like he didn't, like you said, he was one pass. Oh, there's the open guy. He make the simple passes. This year he's made passes, wraparound passes. He about to go up. He'll pass it at the last minute. I feel like he's seeing the floor better. But I think it goes back to last year in game one of the finals when he really forced the issue and he took some uncharacteristic shots. He was really trying to be aggressive. I think he realized like it's easier on him when he sees where his outlets are because at the end of the day, he's going to get 30 points regardless. It's either going to be a hard 30 points or an easy 30 points. And I think last year he had more hard 30-point games, whereas this year, the difference is he's getting backdoors, he's getting out in transition, he's getting more spot up threes from their ball movement. It's just he's getting easy 30-point games. And if you give somebody like Shai a easy bucket here and there, the hard ones are going to go in more often than not because that's what he works on. Now you're giving him easy shots, and that's why you see he's only averaging 33 minutes a game because he's getting all these easy shots the first 3 quarters. And like I said, you give somebody like that who can score on all levels with the ball, without the ball, in the post, floater, free throw line, 3, it don't matter. You give them easy buckets, you're going to look up every time in start of the fourth quarter, you're going to be down and he's going to have 30-some points. So I think that's why his minutes are down. And yeah, like you said, they pick and choose when he playing the fourth because they're so in tune with each other. And as a team, easy buckets come, any point of the game.
Nobody tell Doris Burke, but his free throw attempts per game is up, by the way, from 8.8 to 9.1. And then his field goals made is up from 7.9 to 8.2 on free throw attempts made at this point. But with that said, the free throw thing, Jeremy, when I hear people like Doris and others, call him the free throw merchant and, just the disrespect that, comes with that. And I look at, the guy gets the foul line. Like he's good at drawing contact. The numbers say that it's not nearly as big of a deal. Doesn't happen nearly as much as what the media tries to make it out to be. But at the end of the day, he gets the line and he makes his free throws. I mean, like that's what you're supposed to do as a guard is to draw contact and get to the line and go get points. Like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it just boils down to, at the end of the day, he is a star. And when a star gets a lot of calls, people get upset. And the difference, like James Harden would always make the contact and people started getting upset because he was going to the free throw line so many times, but you had to foul him to guard him. The difference in James, he found the different ways to get fouled. Like if you got your arm there, he'll just go straight up. People started getting upset at that and, oh, that's not actually a foul. He's cheating, but he was just smarter than everyone. Whereas Shai, he gets low, he's fast, he's stronger than he looks. And you have to try to bump him off his spot. And he's found a way to, when I feel that contact, just like Luka, just like all these people. But if they wasn't superstars, they wouldn't get as many calls. and nobody would care. But at the end of the day, all eyes is on him. He got 5 people trying to stop him every night. He gonna get some calls. They trying to be physical. He's skinny. Like I said, he's stronger than he looks. People try to be physical with him, stay in his body. But he's too quick. He's too strong. He's too smart for that. He knows how to get around that. And you got to foul him or let him get the bucket.
Rylan, I would say, kind of adding Jeremy's point, it's something that he's earned at this point in his career to an extent. When you've become that star, you're going to get some calls. I do think it's greatly exaggerated when people make it out to be, but at the same time, this is arguably the best player in the world here. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt more times than not.
Yeah, I mean, to everyone's point, like this is why throughout the course of NBA history, we've always talked about superstar calls, but Shai gets it done in a way that is forcing you to foul him, not in the sense of like he gets ticky-tack calls. I mean, you have a ton of choices. None of them are great choices to defend Shai. You can be super physical with him, but his deceleration and his burst combined, not knowing which one he's going to go with, either puts you way too out in front or puts you way behind the play, and now you're trying to recover and jump from behind, which leads to more fouls. You're swiping at him in the gaps, trying to dig him out and see if you can disrupt his drives. You're doing so many different things against Shai that it's impossible not to foul him. He puts you in the worst spot possible. He has a handle that allows him to dictate where the defense is going, and he knows where he's going, of course, more than the defense does. So then once they get out of position, then you're either going to have to give him an easy bucket or compete to get back in the play and see if the refs will call the foul or not. And so I think that with Shai, he just is going to be someone who always generates a high free throw rate, partly because he's always at the rim. He's not one of these guys who takes a ton of threes. He's gotten better at it, but his entire bread and butter is about drives. He's led the league in drives for the last 3 seasons. He's going to do it again this year. Like, he's going to be someone who's always in that paint, and that paint is where you get most of your fouls.
Jeremy, what is one thing you would like to see SGA step up with his game? I know that it's as good as ever right now, and he's still improving. But if there's one thing you could point to and say, man, I would like to see him work on this, or, you know, put emphasis on that, what would it be?
If I had to, and this is not something to necessarily work on, I guess it's something I would want to see more, I guess.
Okay.
I want to see him, I like to see him in the post more. Just because, you know, him close to the basket is limitless. You know, he got a hard shot to block. So, you know, you're not just going to be able to block his shot if you feel like raising up. He got, you know, whatever move you want him to do, whether it's misdirections, double cross, it doesn't matter. He got all that. So the closer he is to the basket, you know, he's just a step away. And like I said, at that point, he can hit any shot, sidestep, misdirections, no matter what it is. And then obviously he can get to the rim, he'll get fouled, whatever it is. So, and that's less energy sometimes. And him being off the ball, I feel like, you know, they could run some baseline screens just for him to get in the post a little more. But other than that, I mean, the way he's developing, maybe try to dunk on somebody or something. But other than that, he's doing everything he needs to.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But it's hard to complain about the way that his game has come together at this point in time. And Rylan, I add one more thing too. It's not just that his game has become what it is, but he does exactly what you want from a superstar. He makes his teammates better in the process too.
Yeah, he makes his teammates better, you know, and he competes on the defensive end more than most superstars of his caliber would. And I mean, to Jeremy's point, a lot of right now about Shai is not even necessarily doing things better, it's just doing things more. Like last year, he was under 1 post-up attempt per game. This year, he's at 1.1 post-up attempt per game. And that's been what we've talked about on these 3 shows of the Thunder utilizing him more as an off-ball player. And that's a trend that you want to see continue. You want to see him defer to a guy like AJ, or once J-Dub comes back, a guy like J-Dub, bringing the ball up the floor, letting him get in position, already in that elbow, already in the baseline, throw an entry pass to him and let him go to work from that standpoint, versus getting into the post how he used to, which was all on the ball and all in isolation. So that'll help his game. I think that him continuing this recent trend of taking more pull-up threes or at the three-point line coming off of screens, it changes your pick and roll coverages of him. It's stuff that he's done before, both of those things, but stuff you want to see more of, stuff you want to see him continue that he started to do more of this season. And so his ability to make his teammates better as a passer and his ability to dissect information has been an underrated part of his game. You look at what he said in Sacramento 3 weeks ago, where he was talking about how they won a championship, but they did so not playing their best basketball. And he wants this team to get better. Like you see them now solving their half-court issue. Like playing at a slower pace this year has been a talking point, but also the playoffs are a slower pace. And so they've been able to utilize that and work to their advantage in their half-court offense. 2 years ago after the Dallas series, whenever he talked about how he could have done a better job of setting his teammates up. And since then, we've talked about his playmaking improvement leading to today, where it's a massive talking point around his game right now. He's putting guys in better spots. So he can diagnose what he's doing right and wrong on the fly like this and really take inventory, even after a championship, of the fact that they didn't play their best basketball in the postseason and they still won a title. And now what happens if they make those improvements? And I think that they're starting to right now.
All right, more to come here on the Thunder Squad Show. We're about halfway home. On the other side, we'll talk all things I-Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, his future. Will he be back at Oklahoma City or not next year? We're going to tell you why the Thunder don't have a choice. They have to bring him back. That's next right here in the Thunder Squad Show. More to come here on the Thunder Squad Show in a moment. But first, let's tell you about our partner, our friends at Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with your board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and all handled by real doctors. Visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Check them out, and you'll be glad you did. All right, we continue here on the Thunder Squad Show, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Tyler Jones, Rylan Stiles, Jeremy Lamb back here with you now. Guys, let's talk about Isaiah Hartenstein. I-Hart really coming into his own. And we had talked about this a few days ago, Rylan, that there was an adjustment period initially of him and Chet learning to play together. But I think based on what we've seen to start off this 2025-26 campaign, the two can not only coexist, but they can thrive playing together on the floor. And when you look at his contract numbers, I know that there was a concern of, hey, with this money that they're going to be paying with the, max contracts that they gave out to SGA and Chet and Jalen, would they be able to even afford a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein? But you were punching the numbers with us before the show. If you don't mind going over those, it seems like that this actually works out, that they not only should bring back Isaiah Hartenstein, but they have the financial terms to be able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they have the ability to, for sure. In some ways, they can get creative and able to do this, but they have a team option right now on him at the end of this season for $28.5 million. You look at what an I-Hart would command for as great as he's playing right now, with how little teams have cap space and what those teams are, of teams who are not close to being title contenders, of teams who aren't really going to be sold out to detract from the Thunder to help their case. The justification for paying I-Hart above $31 million per year next year I don't know how many teams have the appetite to do that with the stricter CBA. So from the free market standpoint, from the team option on him to being able to decline and re-sign him, to even before we even talk about if you'd be willing to take a hometown discount to stay in a very comfortable spot for him, like they're going to be able to make this work, but it takes two to tango. Like it's got to in line with both what the Thunder want and what the player wants. And if he does want to get the biggest bag possible, he'd be well within his right to do that. And that might come from some other avenues. But here's another thing that plays to the Thunder's advantage. When Chet signed that max extension, he did not include any escalators for if he makes an all-star team or if he makes a defensive player of the year or an all-defensive team. And then Jalen Williams has missed so many games to this point that he might not hit and probably won't hit that 65-game threshold to have himself on those same lists where he does have escalators in his contract, but he might not meet the requirements to make those escalators happen for him. And so that changes their figures a little bit and reworks kind of what your books look like. But in general, with Isaiah Hartenstein, I think that he's a must keep because you just simply cannot replicate his impact, and nobody who you could bring in could replicate what I-Hart does. Like nobody can screen at his level. Nobody can play make at his level. With the creation for others is huge. His rebounding ability is massive. His ability to take punishment in the paint and take that off of Chet is massive. His rim rolling ability has unlocked some interesting offense for this team this season as a more aggressive scorer. So I-Hart has really made himself indispensable, and the salary numbers can work to bring him back long term.
You look at the numbers, what he's done on the court this season, 12.4 points per game. That's a career high. 11 rebounds per game. That is also a career high as well. He is, we talked about this with SGA. Same can be said by I-Hart here, playing the best basketball of his career right now in this moment. And with that said, Jeremy, I just don't see any reason with the financial terms working, with knowing that Sam Presti has the cap space ability to make this work. Why would you not make this work and keep him around for a while?
Yeah, so first of all, definitely you got to keep him just because he does everything you need. Earlier this season, he had 33 points and 19 rebounds. And after that game, he went back into his role of let me make my teammates better. There's not a lot of people that's going to do that. It's a lot of people that's going to be like, hold on, I just had 33 and 19. I'm trying to do that again. I'm better than what my role is. Nah, he's like this is where I'm comfortable. This is what I can do for this team. And like we said, he set screens, great passes. He got a great floater, great defender. He put his body on the line. And at the end of the day, him and Alex Caruso are the heart and soul of the team. They're the heart of the team. They bring it. They're the heart of it. All of them play defense. Obviously, Shai is the head of the snake. You know, you got superstars to become like coming and Chet and Jalen Williams. You got superstars in their roles, you know, the role play Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, the other Williams. Like you got all these pieces, but they're the heart and soul of the team. And if I was Hartenstein, even if I had to take a $5 million cut, $8 million cut to stay with them next year or the year after, I would do it because it's so worth it. When you're playing an 82-game season and you're losing or y'all have no chance of winning the championship, it's not fun. It makes it harder and harder to get up every day. It makes it makes you feel like your dream that you've been working hard for your whole life means nothing because you feel terrible. They're in a great position. Everyone loves each other. Everyone wants to win. Everybody legit is happy for the next man. So if I was him and I got to take a little cut to stay and we can end up building a dynasty, oh, it's a no-brainer. They got to figure out a way to keep him. And he got to figure out a way to stay there long-term, no question.
So, Rylan, let's talk about the other scenario. If for whatever reason they can't get something worked out, if they do have to move on, the alternatives here. And let's be clear, I think all three of us are on the same page. Option number one is the best option of keeping Isaiah Hartenstein. But Sam Presti will be the first to tell you, ever since that KD situation, always got to be preparing for a backup plan of the worst of sorts. And one thing you could think about, okay, could you move Chet over to the 5 and play a smaller lineup? That's a possibility. Thomas Sorber, who they drafted out of Georgetown, he's about 6'9", 250, though. He's not what Isaiah Hartenstein is. He's a different big in that front. And then, of course, whether it's draft options or free agency or trades, whatever, there's not just, from what I'm seeing here, Rylan, there's not just another Isaiah Hartenstein sitting in the wings ready to step up there. And that's not a knock on Thomas Sorber. Maybe he's going to be a decent player down the line, but there's no alternative that would make this team the same with Hartenstein or better if he's not there. If you move on from Hartenstein, you are going to get worse.
Yeah, if you move on from Hartenstein, you're for sure going to be different, and you're going to have to create a new iteration and a new identity for this team, because the double big stuff, it can continue a little bit with Sorber and Jay Will, but it's not going to be your bread and butter. It's going to revert back to our last show where we talked about all the pros of playing Chet at center and how that spaces out your offense and how that makes you a more unique team to defend on the offensive end. And then with your defense, you're relying more on switching everything and just playing a smaller lineup and hope that guys like J-Dub, guys like Caruso, those guys can compete with fours and defend bigger bodies while the guards scramble around. And then Chet, of course, being an elite rim protector, you still feel pretty good about that being a good defense for what this team has shown you. So you'd for sure have to change your identity, and you put a lot more on Chet's plate, especially replacing that rebounding number. Like the fact that they are the best defensive rebounding team in the NBA percentage-wise, is impressive, and that could not be sustained. I love Thomas. I predicted him to be the pick before the draft even happened. It's a shame that he got hurt and he couldn't, play this season. But we've seen the Thunder handle that situation before with a guy even like Chet, who missed his entire should-be rookie season and came back and dominated for 82 games as a true rookie the next season. So I feel good that they can get Thomas up to speed. But in terms of how could you replace this? This is what makes I-Hart so indispensable, because you have a lot of roster redundancy at every other position. Like Cason Wallace is a guy who plays elite defense. So if you were to, for whatever reason, move on from Lou Dort, you feel good about your reserve to kind of slide him up into that Lou Dort role. The only spot where you don't feel good about sliding guys up is in your front court right now. And then that would boil down to really their picks. And they could be juicy. They have the Clippers pick if they keep spiraling out of control. They have a top 8 protected pick from Utah, and then they have a couple middling picks from Philadelphia and Houston. But it's going to have to come through the draft, and you're relying on a young player. So you're going to have to change your identity. Your double big lineups cannot be your bread and butter anymore if you were to lose I-Hart.
Now, hold on. Before you say that, I beg to differ on that, because Jalen Williams, big Jalen Williams.
Yeah.
He's he does exactly what Hartenstein does. He takes charges. He put his body on the line. He's a good passer. Only thing he does better is shoot the 3. But he still got touch around the rim. I think it would only hurt them because it would take away from their depth. So it's they're not as deep, whatever. But you can replace somebody to come off the bench to play, I don't know, 12 or 13 minutes to give them spot minutes. You can always go small. But if you get rid of Hartenstein, which I would not say do that, but if you did, I think Jay Will could step in that role, and then you, like you said, either go through the draft or go through, your G League, because I know that, Sam. I know he's over there developing people. So he's getting people ready for that position, like you said, just in case something happens. So
yeah, I mean, Jay Will, you could still play a double big lineup, but in the sense of missing out on that depth that you mentioned, Now you go from J. Will being a third string center to a hypothetical starter. Your second string center is now a 6'9" rookie. And so it's like, would you prefer to have J. Will be a more bench guy as a more proven backup center in his career to this point to start out the next season? But his shooting, I think that it'll still turn around from where it's at this year. He's been a 40% shooter. Like, he's going to be a good shooter. He has a lot of the same high post creation that I-Hart does as a passer. Defensively, just by the sheer size, he's a worse defender than I-Hart from the sense of he does it differently. Like you mentioned his charges. I-Hart is able to kind of defend you vertically. He can defend you by being cerebral and getting in your way and taking a charge versus walling up at the rim. So like, you can still go to that look, but I don't think you can go to that look as heavily as you go to the I-Hart Chet look right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're going from I-Hart in his 7-foot frame to a 6'9" guy in Jalen Williams that would be a little bit different. I like Jalen Williams, but I'm not taking him over I-Hart by any stretch. But I think their best route, as we mentioned, is to have them both there. They've already given the extension to the J. Will last offseason too. So putting more ahead, we're going to talk about Isaiah Joe on the other side. He's taken quite a bit of a leap here, playing some very good basketball. We'll break that down for you coming up in our final segment right here on the Thunder Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. We continue as we roll along here on the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us, folks. And this next sponsor, I'm very excited to tell you about, and that is our friends at Skims, folks. And you may be wondering more about Skims and what exactly Skims does here for you, folks. Well, that's where we come in to tell you more about Skims and their fantastic products that they have for you here on today's show. When Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands that roll, and a whole lot of settling. Skims Men's changes that. One change, and it's obvious why everybody's been talking. They're designed to feel good, fit right, and actually stay put. No slipping, no sagging, no adjusting, just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel comfortable and confident. What stood out right away was the fit and the fabric. Soft, supportive, and comfortable all day. They don't ride up, they don't lose their shape, and they hit exactly where they're supposed to on the thigh. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down to let them know we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is now open. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. Check out Skims today, and you will be glad you did. Final segment here on the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones, Rylan Stiles, and Jeremy Lamb here with you. Let's talk all things Isaiah Joe now. And Isaiah Joe playing some really good basketball here, from what we've seen in the last, few games. He's averaging about 14 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game. And by the way, those numbers, when it comes to points and rebounds, those are both career highs. Last year, he had a career high of 10.2 and 2.6 rebounds. So those numbers are up. Jeremy, Isaiah Joe, I know that this rotation's a bit crowded, but he's still making his presence known here.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of those players that you definitely want and need on your team. One, he's elite on both ends, but also I go back to Hartenstein, how he had 33 and 19, and he realized, okay, let me go back and, I had a good game, but it's about the team. Isaiah Joe, he reminds me of that because he'll come out and hit 5 or 6 threes in a row and then not play the next game because people are back in the rotation. And that's a tough way to play. So I applaud him because he always stays ready. He might play 2 minutes that game, or he might play 37. You know, he's one of those players that one can get hot. He probably, if he had more opportunity, more time, he might would have broke in-game three-point records. You know, he might would have hit 14, 15 threes before. But he's a superstar in his role. And the way he's been playing this year, he doesn't hesitate on his shot. He never he never he never plays defense based on how he's playing offense. He plays defense, he gives his heart. No matter how many minutes he's going to play, and that's just a tribute to his mental and his hard work. You know, it's not easy, like I said, to play like that, but the way that he's playing, being efficient, being ready every night, whether he think he's going to play or not, that's a skill in itself. So his leap this year has been great, and it's only going to help their team down the road. Because with this team, you don't rely on one person. If one person sit out, next man up, they're gonna win them games. Like I said last week, it's about going into the playoffs healthy. And he's one of those players that could tell somebody, yo, take the night off. I'm gonna go get 30 and lock up somebody. So it's great to see. And again, it's a applaud to his hard work.
Rylan, what have you seen from Isaiah Joe? What do you credit his jump in performance to this year?
Yeah, I think that it's about being comfortable. Like you look at what he's been doing now as a movement shooter, that is way different than what he's ever done before. He's typically been a stationary catch and shoot guy, and those looks go away quickly in the playoffs. And he mentioned this last year. He got to a slow start last year from three, and he mentioned how different it was playing next to I-Hart and having a guy who can run DHOs for him, having a guy who can screen for him off ball, and having a guy who can find him when he relocates around the three-point line. And that led to a bit of a dip in production because he just wasn't used to that. And now those two guys look way more comfortable together. Right now, still, Isaiah Joe is wonderful as a catch and shoot shooter, 39% in the catch and shoot, but he's taking more dribble jumpers than he has before and nailing them at a 45% clip. And so coming off of those DHOs, relocating around the perimeter, being excellent in transition, putting up 1.5 points per possession, 96th percentile in transition for Isaiah Joe. All those things have been great for him scoring the ball and alleviating some stress from this Thunder offense, as well as I think he's gotten a lot better as a playmaker as well in the secondary unit. So Isaiah Joe has truly taken a step forward, and his defense has already been improving over the years. And so he's a guy who competes at that end. And while he's not the elite, he's also not bad defensively, and that really helps his case of staying on the floor.
Jeremy, when I look at Isaiah Joe, we mentioned him averaging 14 points a night. He's somebody to me, I look at, if he wasn't playing in Oklahoma City and was just available in free agency for teams to sign, there's at least 10, maybe 15 teams that probably would take Isaiah Joe as a starter right now, but this rotation's so crowded that he's not going to come close to those starter minutes here. I mean, he's a starting quality player that just happens to be on Oklahoma City's bench.
Yeah, he definitely can be a starter. But it's tricky because if he's a starting 2 guard or a 3 guard on another team, is he gonna have to create his own shot? Is he gonna have to create more space? See, I've played with superstars and I've played with not superstars. And sometimes, you know, I remember one time when I was with OKC, they put LaMarcus Aldridge on me because LaMarcus literally looked at me and was like, yo, they're not going to pass you the ball, so I'm going to guard you. And I realized, like, wait, that's crazy. They had like 3 people on KD. I'm like, oh, and I'm sitting there jumping for the ball. They're not going to pass it to you because, you know, they get more buckets than I do. So it's like, oh, okay. So, but if you're on a team where you might be, if Isaiah Joe is the best shooter on that team and the biggest threat, then it's going to be a little more people coming over, sagging to his side. And then he's going to have to realize, okay, he got to add more to his game. So I think he's in a great position, but it's a lot of teams that could definitely use him, whether it's off the bench or a starter. And his average will go up maybe 5 points, depending on where he goes. But if he come to Charlotte, you never know, you know? You just don't know. But if you go to Detroit, you know, it's just the league is just all about, you know, opportunity and who's on your team. So
yeah, and Rylan, speaking of, you know, that opportunity, he surely has found his role. He knows his assignment. I think one of the difficulties when you just look at the sport of basketball, and maybe Jeremy could allude to this too, at all levels, whether it's high school, college, the NBA, so much of it, the problems that I see as a consumer is guys that don't know their role or can't find the role within a team. And I look at Isaiah Joe, he is somebody that knows exactly what he needs to do night in, night out, and gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to Jeremy's point, to your point, he's able to do whatever it takes to benefit the team, which in turn benefits him. And so like it all works together. Like his ability to play his role as a spot up guy and a catch and shoot guy in the corners, like that all not only helps the team spacing and not only brings a guy who can score next to a guy like Shai. Those two-man lineups have been special since he got to Oklahoma City. And so that helps him get wide open shots, and it helps him nail them whenever they come to him from Shai. And then whenever he is in the secondary unit, he'll expand his game a little bit. He'll play more in the mid-range. He'll play more off the dribble. But being able to put that toothpaste back in the tube, depending on the situation, and knowing when to expand his game versus when to take a back seat and be more of a complementary player, that is a unique skill set and one that he certainly has.
Yeah, he does for sure. And he's been a lot of fun to see his growth and development from here at this point. Isaiah Joe, Jeremy.
Sorry, real quick. And you said something interesting, Tyler. How you said it's hard for people to know like their role.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing about the NBA. When you get to the NBA, like if you're a scorer, it's literally 15 people that can do what you do. If you're a defender, it's 10 people that can do what you do. If you're a rebounder, whatever it is. So yeah, getting to the NBA, sometimes you have to change your whole role. I was a scorer my whole career. Then I get to OKC and KD averaging 30. They sitting there like, yo, you think you're gonna come in and start shooting? Nah. We need people to play defense because he gonna score all the buckets. It's like, oh. So you gotta redefine yourself when you get to the league, because unless you're averaging 30 in the NBA, 25, then you're gonna have to change, you know, because you got so many people doing what you do. And you just gotta find a way to separate yourself. So I apply Isaiah Joe for that, because he's finding a way on a stacked team. And that's hard to do. Championship team.
It is.
I apply this whole organization too of like them having a way to convey that to players. I think about Brooks Barnheiser, who got sent down to the Blue to work on his game last week. And after the game, asking him about like, well, what is your mindset when you're with the Blue? Because obviously he'd have the license to just take any shot he wants to. And he said, well, that's never going to be my NBA role. I'm just not going to be a top 3 scorer on any team. So why would I come down here and work on that? I'm going to work on things that I can actually do at the NBA level. And that sense of maturity from a rookie, a second-round pick who has not gotten to expand his game at the NBA level and now is going to get to play 30 minutes for the G League to still play his role, it's clear that this is a culture thing. This is a identity thing of this organization, and it's going to benefit all these guys long-term.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great points. Before we wrap up, little housekeeping notes before we get out of here. We are still going to do a show a week from today, next Thursday on Thanksgiving. Rylan and I, we're big Chiefs guys. We might need the chat to tell us what's going on in the Chiefs-Cowboys game while that's in progress. So hopefully they're winning. Didn't work out so well last week against Denver, but I digress. So we'll still do a live show, same time, 3:30 next week. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll have our normal Tuesday show. And then Rylan, you get content here on the channel and the podcast feed over the next few days as well.
Yeah, Monday through Friday after every single game as well. So you'll get a Saturday show after this Jazz NBA Cup game. We have our squad shows 3:30 Tuesday, Thursday. We have our Locked On Thunder live shows Monday and Thursday at 2 o'clock. So make sure that you're tapped in for all of that. And in the comments, thank Jeremy Lamb because he's the reason that we're still having a show Thursday. We deferred the option to him. He wants to still do it. So let's work on the holiday. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yes.
I love it, man. I love the show, man. So I can't wait. Y'all better be in the comments.
Yes. Jeremy said that he might make his mom mad for doing this, but you know what? I bet the food that's going to be at the Lamb House, I bet everybody's going to be fine. But by that point, Jeremy, what's on tap next week?
Oh, my mom gonna make a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know what she gonna make, but she might be a little upset that I take an hour to come hang out with my
We might need to
homies,
bring
but
mom on the show.
hey, maybe we could do that. We'll see.
All right.
We'll
Stay
see.
tuned for that, folks.
That
That does
sounds
it
good.
for episode number 3 of the Thunder Squad Show. Subscribe to the Locked On Thunder podcast channel, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review or don't leave us one at all. And hit the like button. We certainly would appreciate it. You can follow all of us on social media as well. And we'll see you right back here next time. For Jeremy Lamb and Rylan Stiles, I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. Thanks for joining us.